That's right. 12 News journalist Sean Rice spoke with a law enforcement expert about how this process works. Sean, what'd you find out?
Yeah, Mark and Gribe, testing DNA is typically a process that can take months in some homicide cases, if not years. But when a case like this one has urgency, time is of the essence. DNA is, of course, just one piece of a puzzle in a homicide case. In a case like this one that has plenty of leads, but at this point, very few firm answers.
Fingerprints, anything, and all of that is gathered and submitted to a lab. That lab will report back to us what they find. So far, what we found from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos revealing a key piece of their investigation is now here in Phoenix. A crime lab is now testing evidence from inside Nancy Guthrie's home for DNA.
Basically, what you're trying to isolate is that her DNA, and B, is it a mixture, or are there any foreign DNA in that where it would indicate that the perpetrator may have been injured while he was taking her.
Troy Hillman spent over 2 decades with Phoenix police, solving cold case homicides, relying on advances in DNA testing. So they do have the ability to say, hey, this is a case we need solved. This could be a critical element to our investigation. Put it to the top of the list.
Absolutely, and especially when we believe that very much she could still be alive and time is of the essence, and I think she needs her medication.
Nancy's medications, wallet, phone, personal car, all left at her home, but Nancy herself was nowhere to be found. Sheriff Nanos calls the inside of the home a crime scene with a trail of blood lining the front entryway of her Tucson residence.
That tells me that she was basically startled and taken very quickly out of the home.
The key question that has captivated onlookers: what would someone want with an 84-year-old woman? Hillman remembers an eerily similar case from his time wearing the badge.
It was in South Phoenix, and the woman, there were signs of a struggle. It came out as a missing adult, vulnerable adult, and we'd found later that she'd been murdered brutally by, it was a landscaper that worked for her. Sometimes it's money. It depends on the motive.
When you analyze motive in this case, just based off what's been released this far, have you thought of anything in regards to that? Potential motives?
It's hard to say whether it was a random act or a targeted. If it was my opinion, it may have looked a little bit more targeted based on what I know.
Sheriff Nanos noticeably more reserved in his words at a press conference Tuesday. Hillman says that may be by design, the balancing act between keeping the public informed and saying too much.
You do want to keep the public informed. You want the public's help. You want tips coming in, but you also don't want to give away everything because that information will work its way to sometimes bad circles, and it just takes away from the investigation.
And as I mentioned, DNA just one piece of the puzzle here. With advances in technology, some of the best and most incriminating pieces of evidence law enforcement can collect is from cell phones, surveillance cameras, traffic cameras in and out of her neighborhood. The FBI says they are using every tool they have to help the sheriff's office retrieve all of those cameras and process that evidence. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Sean, thanks. And this certainly isn't surprising under the circumstances. Savannah Guthrie will not be joining the NBC broadcast team in Italy for the Winter Games, saying that right now she is focused on being with her family. NBC Sports says they'll release information about opening ceremony coverage plans as soon as possible.
And of course, we'll continue to work this story, and we'll bring you the very latest the minute that we get any new information. Just be sure to download the 12 Plus app on your TV for any breaking updates in this investigation.